Okay, good morning, everybody. Today is Erev Bishvat. It is January 27th. I will ask you to mute yourselves so that we don't have any feedback. If you have a problem, either Irwin or I will do it since we are hosts and co-hosts or co-hosts. I wanted you to know the plan for the morning was to try to celebrate Tu Bishvat. And some of it backfired on me and some of it did not. I explained that first it was a surprise that I was purchasing something that I was going to share with everybody for Tu Bishvat. And what I didn't realize, and this is not a negative, so those of you who it pertains to, take it in the very best way, which is how it's meant to be. Some of you did not want the package because either you don't go out of your house or you're not going to handle anything that's coming into your house. So some of you do not have the goodie bag, if you will, but agreed to come on so you could see what we were doing. And my goal was, because it's Tu Bishvat and it's the holiday of the trees, the New Year of the trees, and I tried to find a lot of information on Tu Bishvat, and that internet is a very wide range of resources. I failed. There weren't as many things as I thought I could find. I did find a couple of videos. I'm going to show you one in a minute to begin. And in conversation with Debbie, we realized that we have gardeners extraordinaire in our midst, namely Charna, Silverman, and Irwin Schildkraut. And they agreed to be guests this morning and share their expertise and the planting and some tips. So I want to see if I can show you one of the videos first, just to set the tone, and we'll go from there. So bear with me. I have to hope that this works. Are you seeing it?
Yes, it's coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute, where did it go? Okay, so that was one. I'll show you another one a little later. I probably could have made the screen.
Hi, everyone, and happy Tu Bishvat.
Oh.
To start things off, I'm going to ask you a bit of a strange question.
Are you still
Imagine
hearing
a world
that?
where we celebrated everyone's
Yes.
birthday on the same
Oh
day.
my God.
Yeah, I think it went to the next video, Carol.
I
You
gotta
probably just
get
have
rid
to
of
stop
it.
it.
That's my birthday.
Yeah, go into your Chrome or
parties, and it was super fun.
Internet Explorer. It's something running there.
I'm trying to get
It
rid
sounds
of
like
it.
something out of a creepy dystopian novel, right? Like 1984 or Brave New World.
Okay. Now I don't know if we're going to have the other one or if I close everything, but this is how we learn. Thank you, Sharon. I had no way of knowing if we were still hearing it. Okay, so I think the best thing we'll do, the next thing we'll do is we'll go to Irwin and Charna and have them share and tell us what they have for us. And then I will show you some personal pictures of Israel from both Marion and me about tree planting. So Irwin and Charna, take it away.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
So I'd like to start off by saying I'm not sure we're gardener extraordinaires, but more like enthusiasts. We're very enthusiastic about our gardening. And I wanted to start off with Charna's going to do the demos later. She likes to plant from seed, so she's much better at it. But I thought I would just talk a couple of minutes about gardening and Judaism and the connection there, which came about at the beginning of this year. I teach 7th grade at Beth El, and on Sundays, when the weather was nice, we were having classes outdoors. So I thought we would make a garden with the kids, specifically a COVID memorial garden. And so being a teacher, I needed a lesson plan. So I wasn't very hopeful, but I went online to find out about connection of gardening and Judaism, and I was shocked to find how intimate and intricate gardening is in our religion. And the first, so I'm just going to read through some of the notes I had for the kids that day. I'm not going to test you, so you don't have to take notes. Just listen carefully. So the most interesting and telling thing was in Bereshis, in Genesis, the 2nd chapter. So this is at the beginning of the 2nd chapter, right? The first chapter is all about creation. God spent 7 days creating the world. The first thing God did, and this is, I'm quoting from, and first of all, the eternal God planted a garden in Eden. So it was the first thing God did after creating the world. And in fact, there's another saying later on. He said that God says to the Israelites, and when you come into the land, then you shall plant. So, you know, how much more important could it be if it was the first thing that God did? And now I'm going to kind of talk about, and this goes for Charna also, you know, how gardening connects us to Mother Nature, to God, in so many different ways. So the first thing is, you know, when you're planting a garden, the first thing you have to do is, what do you have to do? You have to know where the sun is. So you have to place your garden according to the sun, right? Certain things grow better. Everything likes sun, but some things, you know, like it more than others and won't tolerate any shade. And of course, that makes you mindful of the seasons. You know, we're coming up to spring soon. Charna's got all her seed catalogs. It's time to start ordering seeds. So it really keeps you in tune with the cycle of the seasons. The other thing is the soil. You obviously need good soil. So we actually keep compost in the house. Well, not in the house, but
Well, we have something on the countertop.
So we have like an old, it's actually ice bucket, and all our food scraps go in there. You know, coffee grinds, tea, you know, apple cores, banana peels, etc. All goes in
Eggs.
there. Eggshells, anything organic. And we have two different ways of composting. Charna has one of those barrels, and I think we'll see a picture of that later. I just throw it in a pile near the garden, put some grass clippings, some leaves. You're supposed to mix it up. I don't even do that. You go back a year or two later and you have compost, which you put in your garden. And so that's a good way of conserving. We're not creating more garbage than we have to. We're reusing. And we also don't put any chemicals in our in the garden by using this natural compost. So that also is, you know, we're environmentally sensitive. Let's put it that way. So, and the last and final thing is, of course, water, rain. So, you know, we pray for rain every year. And in Israel, it's a much more serious thing. But the point is that gardening to me and to Charna is just this little tiny ecosystem of keeping us in tune with nature throughout the year. And finally, as you all know, or many of you know, I love food, as does Charna. So we get great produce from our garden, and beautiful flowers too. So I wanted to show you some pictures, and I'm going to start off with, I don't know if you can you see that?
Are you off mute?
I'm off mute. Carol?
There's nothing there. Now there is.
So that's a picture of a garden, which I could zoom in a little.
Yeah, there's nothing.
That was actually, that was probably like in June or July. It was just been
Things.
planted. Very proud of this. I moved in, what, like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and we had no garden at all. So we've built this up over the last 10 or 12 years. This is Charna's compost. Mine's just a big pile over on the side there. And that fence, very proud of, because Charna and I built that ourselves when we had some run-in with some
Groundhogs.
And the groundhogs were winning. I don't know why I can't go to the next picture. Where are they? Let me see if I can do it this way. Oh, I'll go here. So these, can you still see this?
Yes.
So this is some final product. This is a salad.
No, it's the same picture, Irwin.
No, we still see the garden.
Oh, I think I have to stop sharing.
And open another file.
Right, and start sharing my pictures.
That's where I got messed up.
Yeah,
So
I thought, yeah, it's under a different program.
Yeah.
You should be able to see it now.
I learned the hard way.
We
Yeah,
all
that's how
do.
we all do.
Yes, really.
Do you see it?
There's a salad.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay,
So that's all from our garden, the lettuce, the tomato, the peppers, trying to think what else, probably scallions.
Yeah. Let me
Some-
see what
some
else we
dill.
have. That's not our garden. This is coming from our pictures. So, so that's our tomato bounty. As some of you know, we obviously have too much to eat ourselves. We do a lot of, you know, we cook them and then freeze them. So we have it all year round. But we plant a lot of tomato plants. That's not an interesting picture now, is it?
Nope.
So here,
There it is.
there's some tomatoes, different kinds of tomatoes, some peppers, eggplant. And you see Mother Nature doesn't always give you the perfect fruit or vegetable, but it still tastes delicious once you cut that away. See what else we have. Some green beans, zucchini, cucumbers, and more tomatoes. We plant usually about 20 tomato plants, way more than we need. Some broccoli. And that's it. I don't see any more. So it all makes for good eating and very healthy eating. And, you know, we love it. So tomorrow, Tu Bishvat, you know, is all about food. You know, it's mostly if you have a Tu Bishvat Seder, not this year, but in normal times, you know, we celebrate the food of Israel, grapes, olives, different kinds of seeds and nuts, pomegranates, dates, figs. So that's all I have for now. And if you have any questions, feel free. Edith?
I just want to make a comment that if you come to shul on Saturdays in August, you are always eating Irwin and Charna's tomatoes, because he supplies all our tomatoes and sometimes cucumbers and whatever he gets from his garden, and he supplies our vegetables for Kiddush. And we appreciate it, and we hope next summer we will have the same.
Yes, from your mouth to
Definitely.
God's ears.
Absolutely. So this was in my refrigerator.
What is that?
Pomegranate?
Pomegranate.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
did you want to, hi Charna, hi Irwin,
Hi,
I'm sorry I
Debbie.
was late. I actually got a synagogue phone call 10 o'clock, like 2 minutes before 10 that I had to take. I'm so sorry, but I was wondering, Irwin, if you want to share what we were talking about, maybe the little project we were talking about.
So, yeah, I would say, I guess great minds think alike, maybe. So Debbie said to me, you know, she thought about maybe doing a joint venture with the churches to do a garden. And I had been thinking about the same thing. And I know we used to have a garden about 5
And
years ago.
doing it to give the vegetables to a soup kitchen or the
That's a
Bridgeport
great
Rescue
idea.
Mission. So the 3 church houses of worship together would do something for the community.
I love that idea.
Yes, that would be very nice. And hopefully this spring, summer, we could do that. And Edith, don't worry, I'll still bring you
Right.
vegetables from our garden.
That would be a
You have to
great.
keep an eye on Edith. She might go in and kind of pick a few when you're not looking.
I'll close my eyes. But for some of the people who live in apartments or condos now that do like to garden but don't really have a chance to, this would be a nice thing because we'll need people to weed and whatever. So
Right.
Be a good opportunity to be outside.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll definitely explore that as soon as we get clearance to roam free. Okay, so Charna, I'm going to hold on the planting
That's
for
fine.
a minute or two.
I'd like
And
to
I'm
see-
going to ask Marion to tell you about these pictures. Marion, you have to unmute. Uh-oh, where is she? Marion?
I'm here, okay. I'm on a base in Israel. I was there for Tu B'Shvat. And what they had, one of the projects was to plant trees in their garden. And there we are. This is to some trees through JNF or Karen Kayemeth. And there I am planting some trees that will hopefully survive and live in their garden. So this is on an, as I said, on an army base near Beersheba.
Thank you. That's great. Now I'm going to show you, Sue and I were in Israel last year, just prior to our Thanksgiving. And one of our stops on the tour was to plant trees. So I'm going to take you through our tour. So there we are planting. The tree that you see, I planted in memory of Mike. You could do what you wished. So that was my plan. This, okay. Now you see, this is where we were planting. It's not what we know of as a garden, you know, which is why you see the irrigation system here. This was this is my background. That's my little tree. Not
Now, where was that? Where were you planting?
I wish you didn't ask me that, Charna, because I don't know. I'd have to really.
Was it Jerusalem or?
No, we were out in the country.
Okay.
Okay. So you see the irrigation and how brown, and when you plant, you really have to hope that it takes, not like here where it's green. More of the same place. And we were guided to where the guide thought we could plant. I don't want to say it was dangerous, but you can see that it wasn't easy walking to get to your spot. And that was, so it just was a few pictures to give you an idea, coincidentally, of what planting trees was like in Israel. And when we were through planting, we had a ceremony and we said a few blessings and we sang a few songs. I couldn't take that picture because we were 35 people in a circle and I couldn't do that and be in the circle at the same time. But that's how the ceremony ended. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Charna. And I know you have some tips for us. When Irwin told me one of the tips you had, I thought that was the greatest thing. I had to, in my grocery order, buy something that would give me what you're going to tell us about.
Well, I wish I could take credit for it, but I am a master hacker. I'm always online and Pinterest and the internet, and I'm always getting tips. And I love when I can, you know, recycle things and not spend money on things. So I will share my hack for you, which I stole from somebody else. So I'm just going to put some cardboard down so I don't get dirt all over our table.
She needs more dirt.
Yeah, more dirt.
I brought a box to put mine in. Oh, I have to go get my cup.
You could put it like, yeah. Okay, so let me get.
We got dirt.
So while Charna's getting ready, I just want to tell you that I read something put out by USCJ Connections. It's their newsletter of a sort. And they were talking about what they were doing for Tu B'Shvat. And what they were doing was they were giving everybody parsley seeds so they could plant and have parsley for Passover. And I said to Debbie, we do these things. We don't market them. We don't talk about what we do. We just do it. And so here we are, parsley seeds, dirt, wherever that is, dirt, and our cups. And they wrote this whole thing up and we're doing it sitting in your own houses. So it's either great.
And Carol had the idea before she read the article.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so does everyone have their little cups and dirt, or not that complicated, so you can just watch me? I'll tell you my hack at the end.
So Charna, we're not seeing what you're doing. Can you adjust
Okay.
your screen?
Okay, so Irwin just went upstairs to get something and he's gonna. Yes, they can't see me, so.
We can see Charna, but we can't see what she's doing. Can you?
Okay, yeah, sure. First of all, let's move it.
We're just gonna move it back a little bit, so there's a little.
Okay,
Okay, oh, I see, yeah.
you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see it now?
Can you see it?
We can see what you're going to do. Yes, you have no head, but we can
That's
see.
okay.
Okay,
You disembodied. Okay, so these cups that Carol provided are great, because you could actually just stick them in the ground when you have the seeds grown. But what I noticed is that in the bottom, there were no drainage holes. So if you just take like a toothpick and just put some holes in the bottom, just to allow the water to drain. And then what you're going to want to do is when you put it, by a window, just have something so that the water doesn't get all over your counter. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to put some dirt, like fill it maybe a third of the way. See? Want to get a little water maybe?
Sure.
and I probably was over generous on
That's okay. It actually will give me some more dirt to demonstrate the hack.
Okay,
So yeah, you just want to fill it, well, maybe like 3/4. There's a lot of parsley seeds in here, but so you could probably just, put some of them in here. And then if you decide that you want to put some in another container, you can actually put a little water in, just kind of get it moist, the soil, before you put the seeds in. And then you're just gonna put a bunch in here and cover it up with some more dirt. And maybe put a little bit more water in. And put it someplace sunny. Hopefully all of you have some window or some place in your house where there's some sun. And some more water. And that's it. Maybe put like a little stick, like a popsicle stick with parsley, so you know what you've planted, if you plant more than one thing. And you can pretty much do that with most seeds. I've become like a seed catalog junkie, a little bit of a snob. Can you, I now get like a bunch of seed catalogs. But you can go to Target and buy, just seeds off the shelves, whatever you like. I like some specific tomato varieties, so I have to purchase it from a catalog because they don't sell them, in standard stores.
So I want to say so when you first plant seeds, until it germinates, until you see the seeds actually, the plant actually coming through, it's important to keep it moist. Once the plant starts, you don't, obviously you still have to water the plant, but at least initially, it's important to keep the seeds moist. Otherwise, they won't germinate.
But you don't want it sitting in water. So I poured off some extra water and now I'm going to put this back in over here. So let me show you the hack before I forget. So this is, you know, this, I don't know what they call them, like the
They're called
seashell.
blueberries.
No,
Oh, the clamshell.
clamshell. Thank you, not seashell. So
Right.
they sell these plastic containers that you buy your typically berries, and they come in all different sizes. So like for strawberries, they come in bigger ones and deeper, which is great. But I'm gonna just pour these blueberries out. And these are great because they, you know, you don't have to, you could save them. I wash them out, I save them. I have a ton of them. And what's really cool about them is they act like terrariums. So when you put the dirt in, which I'll show you, and your seeds in, and put it near a sunny window and keep it watered and close it, it's like a self-contained greenhouse, like a mini greenhouse. And, you know, there's drainage on the bottom and the seeds grow phenomenally in here. So sometimes what I do is I plant the seeds and then when I see them germinating, I thin them out and then I get a bigger container and I transplant the seeds, you know, the little seedlings, and then they grow bigger. And you don't have to keep the top on. You could also, you know, give them some air. But I think this is really smart thing to do.
And almost everybody has it.
And almost everyone has it. So I'm just gonna throw the rest of this dirt actually, or some of it, actually. Can you adjust the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Are you? Yes.
Yes. Okay, let's see. Sorry if this is not the best video demonstration, but anyway. So again, you want to put a good amount of dirt in so the roots have a chance to develop a little bit. And this is, you know, it's a little messy, so set up something where you have paper or cardboard. I don't love getting my hands dirty despite the fact that I love gardening, so that's why I'm using a spoon. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little water there. It's going to drip out.
Okay.
Here, I'll just put it in here. Okay. The same thing. Take your seeds. Yeah, you could do that. Okay, your seeds. Okay. Wait, that's a lot of seeds.
Yes.
And then pour the rest of the dirt. Okay. Some more water. And that's it. And close it up, put it near sunlight, and you have a little terrarium. That's it.
So this is going to be good because now I'm going to have a contest with myself to see which one sprouts first.
That's a good idea.
That's interesting.
So Charna, once they sprout in the blueberry container or whatever, the empty plastic containers, then you're transplanting it outside, or?
It depends, you know, so if I'm going to be starting some seeds now, which probably I won't be starting too many quite yet, but yeah, depending upon the time frame, if it's still not warm enough to plant them outside in the soil, you want them to be pretty substantial before you plant them into the actual ground. So I would just keep transplanting it into, you know, bigger containers, thinning them out as you go. So I try to get the ones that are most hardy looking, and then I just yeah, I just keep transplanting them. And then at some point, when it gets a little, sometime if it's sunny and it's pretty mild, I'll put them outside to kind of get them ready to go into the ground, kind of hardy them up. And then ultimately I transplant them.
Yeah, once you know that there's not going to be any, hard frost outside, certain plants, certainly parsley is very hardy, and it will, so you can put it outside. Now, if you don't have a backyard, you just need to put it into a bigger and deeper pot because, you want the roots to be able to grow.
And some things like, I think parsley, a lot of the herbs, you can actually direct sow them right into the garden. So you don't even have to do this, transplanting business. But if you have plants like, tomatoes or cucumbers or anything like that, you really have to start them. We either have to go to the nursery and buy little, seedlings, small plants, which we often do.
That's my method.
Yeah, that's Irwin's method. Or for like some of the tomato varieties that I like that you can't buy in the store, I start them from seed.
And all these have directions on the back, when to plant, where to plant, for instance, so this says, sow in full sun after danger of frost.
So
So that's, usually early April, mid-April. We always talk about somewhere between Mother's Day and Father's Day is nothing should go in the ground really before Mother's Day. Last year, because of the pandemic, we got all excited and we wanted to be outside and we planted stuff before Mother's Day, and a lot of it didn't survive because there was all of a sudden a hard frost one night or two, and so we got a little overzealous. But in general, after Mother's Day and, certainly by Father's Day is a good time of year to plant.
Another thing that you could do,
To thin them.
Yeah.
So,
I was just gonna say something.
okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I know that I often have like seed packets that maybe I haven't used the whole packet, or it's maybe a year or two old. And it usually says, sell by a certain date and use by a certain date. But there's another hack that I learned online that you can use to see if the seeds are still viable. And all you do is you take 10 seeds and you wrap it in like toilet paper, like a thin layer of toilet paper, and you wet it and you put it in a plastic bag. And after about 5 to 10 days, you open it up and you'll be able to see how many seeds have actually started to germinate. And usually it's a percentage. So if you have 10 seeds and 3 of them have not germinated, but the rest have, you have a 70% success rate of germination.
Well, you know that the seeds are still alive.
Yeah, the seeds are still alive. I know I've thrown out seeds before because it's a year old, and that was kind of premature because when I've tested this method, actually a lot of them are still viable. So just another tip.
It's pretty frustrating when you go through the whole hassle of planting something and you find out that the seeds were dead.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. So also it talks about, and this is something that I'm really bad at, which is thinning. So, certain things like when we plant, carrots or radishes, if you don't thin them, you're going to get just, teeny little nothings. But if you thin them a few inches apart, you'll actually get a lot more substantial fruit and vegetables that way. So in the back, for instance, here, it also says sow seeds thinly and then cover and then thin to about 6 inches apart. So I always feel bad because I'm killing something that could grow, but it really, it's very beneficial to thin them out as much as they indicate.
It'll be interesting to see who has some success with this. So, you know, as you get some progress, feel free to let us know. And I know Edith has something she wants to share.
Wait, can I just ask you a quick question just to follow up on one of the things they said? Where do you all buy, when you buy the plants already to, you know, kind of little plants rather than from seeds?
Yeah.
Is there someplace locally that you find is very good and cost effective, or?
Irwin really likes Benedict's.
I go to Benedict's in
Monroe.
Monroe.
I like Gilberti's in Westport. It's a small nursery that's been there forever. It's family owned. And they have a lot of varieties of things that you can't find in, you know, big box stores, but certainly like for parsley and basil, you could go to Home Depot. I mean, any of those places.
I would stay away from Home Depot
Oh.
personally, but that's just me. But I go to Benedict's in Monroe, and there's a lot of, you know, garden stores around, but Gilberti's is great. It's a little bit more expensive, but they have stuff there that you don't find. Like
They're the only place that sells in seedlings. If I haven't had the seeds for the tomatoes that I like, they're called Paul Robeson tomatoes. And I don't know if it's just a, a heritage brand or something, but I haven't found them any other place. So I try to get to Gilberti's, you know, as soon as I can.
We called last year and she said, oh, I have some. And she put them aside for us because I guess they're popular that way, but
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Edith?
You answered most of my questions. Charna and Irwin answered most of my questions and we went along. But I just want to pin one thing down about the parsley seeds. I don't have a garden, but I have a terrace and I have a lot of plants out there in the spring. So if I want to put the seedlings from this parsley out into a box on my terrace at some point, should I start them, say, about March or April? I don't have much room inside to grow them.
Absolutely.
Start them. So can I start them inside, say, when would you suggest?
You don't even have to start those inside because you can actually, as long as it's after frost.
But yeah, if you started in March, you know, certainly it says here, once they're a couple of inches high and you thin them out, and then you could bring them outside. Once the frost, you know, that's into April where hopefully, and if it's just on, you know, your terrace, you know, if you know it's going to be very cold at night, just bring them inside for the night.
Thank you.
And Erica, I know Erica's she does a lot of planting. She knows a lot of things about seeds. She saves seeds. So I don't know if she has anything to add, but I defer to her about, she grows a lot of flowers, I think.
You're muted, Erica.
We can't hear you.
Thank you.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
I have a question before I forget. So I planted my seeds now. It's very early. It's only January.
Yeah.
So I have 2 little pots.
Uh-huh.
And I followed your direction and I'm going to put them in a sunny place. And I saved some seeds and I thank you for that good idea with the plastic from the fruits.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Good idea. So yes, I love to plant my zinnias. I've been planting over 15 years almost, and marigolds. So marigolds. So those are the seeds that I save. And you are right that at some point the seeds are not as healthy, even if I saved them from previous year. So this past summer, I did not have luck with the zinnias. I used to have like a whole fence, the length of the driveway, plant the seeds, and they would bloom, and I would bring them, and I would give as presents. And this past year, those seeds weren't healthy. So I only had maybe 15 flowers of zinnia instead of hundreds blooming. But yes, you can save many flower seeds, and marigolds blooms all summer, all the way to October. And that's when they dry, and we save them in our coffee cans.
Maybe you could do a follow-up tutorial on how to save the flower seeds, because I don't know how to do that. So
Oh, okay. No, they gotta be dry. When I take them off the flower, they dry. Well, September, zinnia like September, October, and the marigolds.
So
But I can
remind
share
us of
some.
that.
Yeah,
I have a lot of seeds. I can share, especially marigolds. I have like 6 cans.
wow.
that would be
Yay.
wonderful.
Yes, so I'd be happy to share it.
Great.
Planted around the garden in the synagogue.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Edith?
I have a question.
Oh, hang on, Sheila, one sec. Edith?
Sure.
Oh, I just wanted to brag about my petunias. Because I did them on around about Mother's Day, and they were still blooming in the first week of December.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I thought it was kind of a miracle. I have pictures made on the pictures.
Great.
Because we had mild weather. The weather was very mild this fall. You're right, they bloomed late.
So I was just wondering,
Wait.
maybe somebody could answer. I've noticed some of my neighbors, they use these rectangular boxes to plant their vegetables in. I was wondering what the purpose of that was. Is that a better way to plant? They have these boxes that sit on top of the ground.
So they're wood boxes, right, Si?
The boxes, correct.
Yeah, that's called raised bed planting. And
Right.
so it's, if you don't want to dig into the garden, into the, soil the way we do, you could buy or build these raised beds
Oh,
and plant in there. So it's a little neater.
I see.
And also, if you build it up, high enough, it's certainly a lot easier when you're weeding. You're not, bending over. You're not on your knees. So as we get older, it's something to think about. I'm not sure how much longer. Weeding is backbreaking work, and so if it's 4 feet high, you can imagine it's that much easier.
Yeah, okay. The other thing I wanted to mention was that I brought some plants in from the house, some flowering plants indoors to see if they would survive the winter. And I had this beautiful coleus plant that really bloomed beautifully. I brought it indoors and it didn't make it. It just decided it was going to die.
Yeah.
And I had a begonia plant that didn't make it. But the only plant that made it was my geranium plant. That one is still thriving and looks healthy. I don't know why, but that seems to be working for me.
I keep my geraniums. I have 5-year-old, 6-year-old geraniums. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
In
amazing.
a sunny window.
Where do you keep them in the house?
I keep behind a sliding door by my deck where there's sunlight coming in.
Got it.
Right.
Or that I put them
Right.
on, yeah.
But I trim mine. I cut them down only to like 10-inch.
Oh,
Completely cut off the tall shoots. And
right.
by March, they get all new shoots.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Geranium.
Okay. Sheila, I know you had your hand up.
I just have a question. I don't know if it's worthwhile or not. Would it be beneficial to cover this pot we just made with like a plastic sandwich bag to give it the greenhouse effect or not?
I think you could try that. I would maybe put maybe a couple of holes in just
Oh,
to,
that's what I was going to say. Maybe a
Yeah.
couple of holes in it.
yeah.
Okay, I'll try it. Okay.
I find that a lot of gardening is trial and error. So I made a lot of errors.
But you have a lot of experience. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
Your garden is beautiful.
Well, we invite you all over in the summer. Hopefully by that time, maybe it'll be safe for us to be together. You could do a little tour and picking fest. We'd love to have you.
I wanted to share with ladies, if you have a balcony, my neighbors, can you see it?
Yeah.
My neighbors from Kmart, they purchased these barrels and they punched holes in them, filled them with soil, and that's how they grew some of their vegetables and berries. Oh, I lost them. I'm sorry. It's look at it. Isn't it interesting? Can you see it?
It's a little hard to see just with the light, but is it a very deep barrel?
Yes, it's a very deep barrel. It's about almost 3 to 4 feet.
Oh,
And they were very successful. But of course, they got animals coming also. One night, they were chewing up. But I'm concerned here. We have too many. So this is strawberries, berries.
birds love berries.
Yes.
I was impressed. I never seen anything like it. What a good job they did growing things.
My sister-in-law and brother-in-law in they have a huge garden. I mean, huge. The same thing, they put up fences, taller fences, and they live way out in the country in Reading and they actually put some kind of a covering over so that the birds can't come in.
Yeah.
They also have chickens and they get their eggs or whatever, but so that the birds can't, they built everything up in boxes because something was still getting in their garden. And then they did the covering over it besides the fence. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been thinking about that more so for the squirrels.
Yeah.
Squirrels
Squirrels,
night
deer.
up, and they're fearless. So
Yeah, they ruined my daughter-in-law's garden. The squirrels ate up all the tomatoes, damaged everything. Yeah, it's terrible.
they like to go and take one bite. They don't even eat it. Just take a bite.
They don't eat it.
And go. And so it's so frustrating because you come out and it's a beautiful tomato and you see, squirrel left it.
They chew them up green and they leave it on our picnic table.
We had woodchucks for years, and we bought the Have a Heart trap. And Mike thought that the more tomatoes you planted, the better. So he would plant 100 plants.
Wow.
You could not walk through the garden. And once he planted them, he wasn't interested in weeding or harvesting. So this farmer did the weeding and did the harvesting. But it was a fight to the finish with a woodchuck. So he made a salad on several occasions for the woodchuck, put the trap in the garden, and lettuce and broccoli and some of the tomatoes it had already eaten. And now he captured the woodchuck in this cage that was like 3 feet long, about yay big, put the cage in the back of the car. And woodchucks have a great memory, just in case you needed to know this. And we had to take it for a ride far away. So we went to Putnam Park and we had a favorite spot. Now just picture this, the two of us carrying this cage with sticks so that the woodchuck doesn't get to us. And when we got to our spot up in the woods at Putnam Park, released the entrance and off went the woodchuck. And we did that one summer several times, including the night before we were leaving on vacation. So it was like Mike 1, woodchuck 3. There was no question that the woodchucks were getting to the better of our garden.
We had a family of woodchucks living under our deck, and that's why we put up the fence. There were 5 of them, which I did the same thing. I have a heart.
Yeah.
And I trapped them and took them to a park in Shelton. It has to be at least 10 miles away, otherwise they'll come right back.
Well,
the funny thing was the first morning I see something in the trap, and Charna, we got something. I went down. It was a raccoon.
We had that too.
And now I'm like, oh boy.
Right.
Yeah, because raccoons are pretty nasty.
Correct.
So I put on all these clothes, gloves, long sleeves, long pants. I took it to a park. I had a stick with me.
Yes,
And when I opened it, I was scared because, they could attack.
And
Right.
they have babies.
It looked at me and luckily, it just zipped right off. But careful what you wish for. Because
correct.
I was
We
so
had-
happy for a second.
We had that too, Irwin, and Mike had to call a friend because Carol was not going to be on the other side of that woodchuck and of the raccoon. And while we were taking it, we called another friend who had been our doctor and said, Mike and Bob are taking this raccoon up to Putnam Park. And he said to me, Carol, now you've got 2 of my patients who I'm going to end up having to take care of if that raccoon turns on you. So we did have a few of those stories, and we did have a fence, but they are very
They'll dig. We had to dig our fence. We
About
like
2 feet.
about 2 feet deep and put wire,
yes. So this year, the neighbor behind me said, Carol, there's no way you're going to manage 100 plants. I'm going to show you how it should be. And his father, well, he's Italian, and his father obviously is Italian, must have like 90 acres of a garden in Pennsylvania. And that we are going to plant the garden the right way, and I'm going to help you. And
Right.
so we had somebody put in a fence, dig up the garden. We planted 6 tomato plants, a few zucchini that took over my world, a couple of eggplant, and it was a funny year because zucchini flourished, cucumbers, we got nothing, peppers in October, and something like the tomatoes. So he's planning for next year. I'm fine with sharecropping. He wants to do the work and I supply the vegetables. It's a great deal. But it's a fight to the finish with the animals. And that's frustrating.
There's a guy on YouTube who, I don't know where he lives. I'll have to find the video and share it. Maybe you could share it with the group. And he was having all his plants being eaten. And he finally put a camera in the garden and he found a woodchuck. And it's really, really cute because the woodchuck sits in front of the camera with a carrot and just is gnawing, looking right at the camera. And then at the end of the video, he brings a friend, a woodchuck friend. And so finally the guy, he fenced in his garden and then he put another garden outside for the woodchuck. And that was that.
We also had deer. When the tomatoes got high, they were standing on the outside of the garden, leaning over to eat the tall tomatoes. I mean, you would think that we lived really in the country.
A breakfast buffet for them.
Yes.
Edith has the seeds that we sent out last year.
This is
Sue
from Mother.
planted them and got pretty flowers.
I didn't plant them last year. I'm going to test them out this year to see if
Yeah,
they
I think
just like the way you described it.
yeah.
Oh, you
I did plant them last year.
I planted mine. They were blooming nice. I planted them.
I failed.
Sue said Sue took some pictures and showed me hers worked. So
Good.
Well,
Yeah,
I planted them and my neighbor said, you better tell the guys not to mow the lawn over them. This is where we had to have a tree removed or 2 trees. So there was this empty area. So anyway, I said, why would they can see that, there's, so sure enough, I go and they don't speak English. So one of the guys does. So I tell them, don't mow the lawn here. So sure enough, the next week I see them mowing right over it. So yeah, so that's kind of what happened. Because they started to grow the, green before the flowers and yeah, so didn't happen.
At least you have somebody to blame.
Wonderful to be talking in plants. It's very uplifting to be talking. So thank you, Carol.
Oh, you're
It's-
welcome.
Because it's wonderful to be talking just when we're expecting the coldest days of the winter.
I know. I was thinking about that too. Really bundle up. So I'm glad to see, that's a good segue, that Jackie just came on, because she is part of our next program on February 10th, right, Debbie? The 10th?
Yes.
When,
Yes.
I'm going to have a new name for it, but it is Businesses in Bridgeport, and Jackie's going to talk about Lipnick Plumbing. Meredith Baum-Rubin is going to be talking about Eastern Paper Bag. Claire Weiner Herrer is going to be talking about Clar Glass. David Hochberg is talking about, obviously, he doesn't have a different name, Hochberg Jewelers. And Renee, was she Baina, Debbie?
Yes.
Renee Baina.
No, she was Milstein.
Renee Milstein is going to be talking about Baina Brothers that was in Bridgeport and then moved to Black Rock Turnpike. So we've got lots of famous people coming. Put it on your calendar.
And really Jewish business history. So really like the 50s and the 60s, like what we were talking about last time with Benny Levine's and Tasties and Nidens. And so the same kind of memories.
And David actually goes back farther than that because it was his grandfather. So I think, you're going to find some interesting history, some interesting stories, and we'll just continue. And we've always got programs coming. I wasn't sure where this one was going to go because I didn't find as much information that I needed, but I can always count on you, all of you, to add to it. And that's what the idea of the virtual coffee is to share. So I want to thank Irwin and Charna, our gardeners enthusiasts. That's better, our gardeners enthusiasts for coming on and sharing and giving us some tips and hints. And we'll see you soon. Stay warm, stay safe.
Thank you, Carol.
This was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Very good, very good.
Good to see you all.
Okay.
Same here. Sean, can I just share one more thing? Anybody, shopping bag made into a potty. You can plant soil in shopping bag on your patio, on your porch. Walmart shopping bag soil and parsley and basil, my neighbors. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try this on my porch.
So if you have any tips, or Charna and Irwin, if you have any websites that are your real favorite of all favorites, send them to me and I'll share with the group. I know who was here, so I can share. Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. That was fun.
Irwin, the old farmers used to say never plant before Memorial Day.
I was going to say that, yes.
Yeah. That was the planting season.
So that's between Mother's Day and Father's Day, right?
Exactly.
That's about right.
So yeah, my parents loved to garden, and that was the first lesson that my father learned from a neighbor. Don't plant your tomatoes before Memorial Day.
Yeah, that was planting.
Thank you for reminding us.
Thanks for a great day.
I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to end.
I just want to say, in Calancho, this plant that I have, Calancho, that's the name of this plant.
Oh,
Rusty.
oh, okay, thanks.
Calanchoe, something like that.
Yeah, Calancho, yeah,
Calancho.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm very sorry. I thought it started at 11. I think I had a senior moment. I've been waiting till 11 and now I came for the end.
Well, you'll be
I'm very sorry, everybody. I'm sure it was great as usual.
It was very good.
Recording works, Jackie. You'll be able to see it.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.